Hello and welcome to a special program from the Radicalization Awareness Network on how PCVE practitioners across Europe can reconnect with young people after the stress of COVID lockdown. I'm Barbara Serra. In this program, we will look at whether sport could be a way to engage the youth. What a year this has been for young people, and not in a good way. The global pandemic has forced them indoors and deprived them of study time and the company of their friends. So, have we stored up problems for 2021? Let's hear from Dennis de Vries, who co-chairs the RAN Youth and Education Working Group. I asked him what challenges lie ahead for PCVE practitioners when it comes to working with vulnerable young people.
Well, as we go out of this COVID lockdown, I think it's very important to know that a lot of young people, they are online in these days, and they get their information online, and they chat online, they interact online. And if we look at those processes, and we know that there's a lot of polarization at the moment, also a lot of conspiracy theories, and that can lead to radicalization because you're searching for the truth or your truth, and you find your information at one source, and then you find another source, and that's a bit more radical. So those kind of processes can lead to radicalization. So I think it's very important for young people that they are aware of those kind of processes and that they can reach out to young people. And I think those are the challenges for 2021.
Well, if we are going to re-engage with young people in challenging communities, sport could be the answer. One program in Barcelona embraces hockey, basketball and football to reach young people and keep them out of trouble. Let's find out how they do that.
The young people who are in the test phases of the sport program are aged between 16 and 25. The majority are at possibly risk of exclusion. Some minors live in reception centers, all are referred by the schools they study in, by NGOs, even by social services. Working preventively on different types of extremism means that the young people who participate are from different parts of the world. These young people face different problems, such as limited access to the labor market or dropping out of school. This is why it is so important, on the one hand, to increase the protective factors, and on the other hand, to reduce the risk factors in youngsters, which are vulnerable to extremist discourses.
Well, we can hear more from Milena de Murga because she joins us now from Barcelona. Milena, thank you so much for being with us. Tell us a little bit more about your program and obviously, crucially, what it does to address PCVE issues.
First of all, I would like to clarify that the SPAY project is a preventive program. Although it is maybe too soon to speak about success, as COVID-19 is testing our ability to reinvent ourselves, we are getting good feedbacks coming from professionals and parents who have enrolled youngsters in the program. Sport and its benefits are well known. It improves self-confidence, self-sufficiency. It has many positive physical and psychological benefits. Specifically, we have seen how young people are not spending so much time in the streets, nor spending long hours in front of a screen. Furthermore, the participation in a group dynamic improves their social support and skills too. So, mostly through sports, we are identifying the needs, working on them, and providing pro-social networks and narratives.
I mean, you mentioned it's mainly a preventive program. So how do you select the people that join the program? I mean, obviously young people, but how do you choose?
Okay, the young people who test the sport programs, as I told you before, are between the age of 16 and 25, and the majority are at possibility risk of exclusion. They are from towns and cities in Barcelona region, and usually we divide them into different age groups. It's, as I told people, some minors live in reception centers or schools, etc., etc. And I would like here to focus on 3N model. because the 3N model addresses possibly the three most important factors: needs, narrative, and networks. The motivational factor, needs, is the search for personal meaning, and the loss of meaning could favor, of course, radicalization. In real life, this loss of meaning can occur in situations of social exclusion, discrimination, humiliation, perceived oppression, threat, etc. In this way, exclusion can become a contributing factor, but not the only one for radicalization.
The program hasn't been active that long, and then, of course, the COVID pandemic happened during it as well. But what is your vision of success, do you think, for this kind of program or similar programs in the long term?
Yeah, we have different professionals, including, our program is very holistic, and we have different professionals, including trained psychologists who contribute to the program. And the University of Córdoba gives us excellent measurement and evaluation. During the process, participants will learn different skills, values, and attitudes that will improve their knowledge and critical thinking. That is very important. We will work on all these concepts through different activities. Some weekly sport sessions, as you told before, hockey, basketball, and football, and transversal skill session. These include debates, lead discussions, role-playing, videos, etc. All these activities, again, are based on the 3N model of radicalization, and we expect to have an impact on the individual, the community, and the society level. Furthermore, every month we will propose activity to youngsters that they can choose, such as climbing, hiking, or games, for example. All these activities of the program help to establish a group identity, a sense of brother and sisterhood, a role toward themselves and the others, a feeling and level of involvement, self-discipline. This is very important too, seeking out different ways to achieve their goals, etc.
Milena de Murga from Barcelona, thank you for explaining the program to us, and good luck with it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the Paris suburb of Saint-Denis played host to a football-based PCVE program just 18 months ago. The municipality gave the program its full support and allowed the launch event to be held in the city council chamber. Young teenagers got to sit where their local councillors normally hold their debates. Let's find out more from Yann Colombière, who was closely involved.
When you can identify a young girl or a young boy who turn to violence and extremism, then you are facing radicalization. And this is a challenge for CVE officers. This is why CVE program need to focus in preventions. To do so, you want to act inside vulnerable community, in their environment, and with their commitments. To build such a CVE prevention program, sport is a unique tool. Sport is a neutral and universal language. Sport can preserve the integrity of the participant, whatever their economic, social, cultural, political or religious background. Sport can activate role model to attract the youth of the program, but also their family and the whole community. Sport can empower local actors to legitimate the program inside the community. And sport has this capacity to adapt its practices to the local environment. So sport could be a dedicated tool. 1 year ago, in a poor suburb of Paris, in the city of Saint-Denis, we built a CVE program in the context of extreme tensions and violence. We bring together 8 different neighborhoods through a program combining soccer and workshop. We activate the program through local associations and educators who help us to identify the most vulnerable boys and girls to join the program. After 1 week, they could talk, dialogue, exchange ideas, differences, frustration, expectations. They could share talent, values, and a common goal. The week after, we could observe that it lowers the tension inside each of his neighborhood. So finally, through the CVE program, we could activate ambassadors who have been facilitating dialogue and community diplomacy inside their neighborhood. And this is the power of structured sport.
An interesting perspective there from Jan Colombier. Well, to discuss this further, we're joined by Pushpa Islam, who leads the RAN Local Authorities Working Group and joins us from Frankfurt. Pushpa, thank you so much for being with us here. Now, why do you think that sport is such an effective tool when it comes to prevention and counter-radicalization?
Yes, thank you, Barbara, for inviting me here. Yeah, I think sport is a very effective tool. It appeals to young people on an emotional level. It creates loyalty to teams and is encouraging self-discipline, just to mention some points. But it also creates new support networks to moving them away, these young people, from bad influences in their communities. And last but not least, they get self-respect and recognition. And I think a sport gives them a sense of achievement, which is very important in this age. Especially at this age. Yes.
I mean, you mentioned the age because often they will join as sort of older teenagers and stay until their early 20s. So in light of that, what do you think the successful model would look like? So a young person that joins at about 16 and then stays on, the successful picture, what do you think that would be for that person?
Yeah, I think it's about getting young people to become more confident and resilient, which is very important. And it's also about encouraging to become leaders in their communities and giving them ability to start their own programs in future, maybe. And maybe as last point, which I want to mention is, which I think is importantly, is bringing together different stakeholders in the community, such as families, faith groups, local media, or sports clubs, and so on. Yeah.
And I guess, I mean, not that only boys play sports, of course, but some sports tend to be aimed mainly or mostly at boys. Is this something that you think it resonates more with young men than young women, have you found?
I think it's very similar. It's very similar because I think this the point of being in a peer group, sharing the same identity, the same interests are very common. It's very same between girls and boys, men and women in this age.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. And as you are on the RAN Local Authorities Working Group, how important do you think it is let me just ask that question again. Now, you are on the RAN Local Authorities Working Group. So how important is partnership at the local level when it comes to running these kinds of programs?
I think it's the main important point, multi-agency networks, because you can't solve the problem of radicalization, extremism, and prevention just by your own authority. It's really important to work with youth and social centers, with security departments, and really have the connections between and to put together the different perspectives on one table and find a solution together. It's very important to see radicalization as a holistic way, yeah.
Pushpa Islam, who leads the RAN Local Authorities Working Group, thank you so much for having joined us, speaking to us from Frankfurt. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Well, we've talked a lot about young people today, so let's hear from one. Vivian Lada now joins us from Greece. She is part of RAN Young. Vivian Lada, thank you so much for joining us. Now, we've been talking about sport. It's obviously important to get young people involved in these activities, but in your experience, have you found that there is a strong appeal, that young people do react positively to this?
First of all, I believe that sport engagement for young people, it's extremely important, and as it builds up confidence, self-confidence, as it is very good for your well-being, and there is a social aspect of this. As sports support social interaction, you can make new friends from different cultural backgrounds or different neighborhoods, or and this helps young people to learn about tolerance and acceptance, and the ability, and it gives them the ability to build a strong network around them, and they also gain some good social and communicational skills that are really needed in this modern world.
And how important is it that young people, or relatively young people, are actually involved in delivering these types of activities, as in the younger people would relate to others in a similar age group?
It's extremely important because in a team you learn the value of teamwork, you learn to exchange opinions, and you learn you're taught about dealing with setbacks, and self-confidence matters. So it's really important for people who feel alienated, or feel they are being put aside of the social network. So it's extremely important for them to join a team, and it will help them both mentally and physically.
But when it comes to people actually helping run the various programs, is it the kind of thing that perhaps other members of RAN Young have been asking about? So to actually have slightly older people, but still helping out, within the, let's say, 16 to 25 age group?
Yes. In RAN Young, we have plenty of people who are taking up initiatives in order to prevent radicalization and violent extremism, and they have and they are engaging people through sports. So we have talked about it a bit, as we have representatives from these groups.
So Vivienne, what kind of interest has there been from members of RAN Young to this? Well, what do they think about it? Do they think it would be effective?
Yes, RAN Young members believe that sports and teamwork is really important for young people, especially for those who live in disadvantaged areas or coming from disadvantaged backgrounds. So it is, as we see it, is a way of them to get more included in the society. So because through sports they will get to know other peers, and it's extremely important for them to gain this social dialogue going.
And 2020 has been a difficult year for everyone. So what do you hope to achieve with RAN Young for 2021?
Well, yes, 2020 was actually a challenging year for us because we only had to meet online. But still, we really hope that in 2021 we will get the chance to meet in person. And my personal hope is to get in touch with each other, to exchange more opinions, and to maybe gain some knowledge about other practitioners. And it's really important to keep this networking going, and to gain more network. Sorry, can we do that again?
Okay.
Because I lost it.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. It's just generically to ask you, what plans RAN Young has for next year. Yeah. So that's all. I'll ask the question again.
Mm-hmm.
And Vivienne, obviously 2020 has been challenging for everybody, especially young people. So what plans does RAN Young have for 2021?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. 2020 has been a really difficult year, but 2021, we all hope it's going to be a better one, a more creative one. And Run Young hopes to strengthen youth empowerment and youth engagement in the prevention of radicalization and violent extremism. And sure, we will keep involving the perspectives of young people in that field. So we expect to have more meetings and to be more active and to gain more knowledge about radicalization.
Vivian Lada, speaking to us from Greece, from RAN Young, a new network of young practitioners. Thank you so much for having joined us, Vivian. Thank you. Well, what a fascinating discussion today on how we can most effectively engage young people. I hope you have found this a stimulating discussion as well, and will join us next time for another in-depth look at a key issue. This program has come to you from the Radicalization Awareness Network. To learn more about this topic and for more practitioner insights, look out for the next edition of the RAN Spotlight magazine. Until next time, goodbye for now.